Welcome in, everybody. Infotainment Sports Dynasty Football Podcast. Ben and Marcus here today. Excited to get into a little bit of conversation about wide receivers. So a little bit of rankings, a little bit of tiers, a lot of discussion. See where we fall, at least in this offseason going into next year, on where our Dynasty wide receivers are ranked. So let's launch off with the segment of top 24 wide receivers. All right. So we both broke out wide receivers into tiers. For our top 24, I ended up having 4 tiers, which I think is pretty close to you. You have pretty much 3 tiers. I think you have like one guy and a 4th tier for 24. So
yeah,
we're kind of similar when it comes to that. So this should be interesting to see where it breaks out and where we agree and disagree.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, my tier 4 of wide receivers starts out, number 24 is DJ Moore on the Chicago Bears. Obviously, the story behind DJ Moore, his entire career is he's had crappy quarterback play, and he's still made it work. Looks good. Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback, which rookie quarterbacks are notorious for not throwing a lot of touchdowns. They obviously brought in Keenan Allen and Odunze, so there's competition there, but DJ Moore is just an excellent wide receiver. Very, very solid wide receiver too. I have him at the bottom of the range. Let's see Caleb do it and see who his favorite targets are, but I think DJ Moore is solid.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there, and I think with Keenan Allen there, I mean, how many years does Keenan Allen have left? So I think DJ Moore still has like the space there to grow and develop too. So yeah.
He's 26.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, sounds right.
Yeah.
Yep. 23, I have George Pickens, who I know you have on a team or two. He's my ranked at 23. I believe you had him like 28. It's a little bit lower than me. I think he's shown enough to be the X receiver, the number 1 receiver. Obviously, there's limitations there. He kind of runs a handful of routes. But he's really great at going up and getting the ball. I think Russell Wilson loves throwing those kind of passes, so I'm excited to see how this year pans out. George Pickens down the sideline from Russell Wilson. Excited to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do like George Pickens. I have him a little bit lower just because just the consistency aspect of it. I just got to see it a little bit more. But talent-wise, I think his talent is through the roof. It's just a matter of situation. But I definitely feel a lot better with him going into this year with Russell than years past. So sure. I don't mind it. Like you said, I have him in a few leagues, and I will not be upset when he's top 20 this year if he finishes that way, or 23 even for that matter. Sure.
So you've been growing on him, just not all the way up to 23 yet.
Yeah. I've been a fan of his talent. I think his talent is phenomenal. It's just situation, and I'm not concerned about his I don't want to call him his antics or whatever, but he's just a little bit more vocal. I'm monitoring it. I don't think it's like a red flag for me, but I just what's going to happen if it's week 8 and he's still he gets upset about something and just I don't know how that's going to play. Is he going to get, benched or something? I don't know, but I think for his benefit too is there's nobody there in Pittsburgh, so
right. Yep, it's open for him.
As wide receiver goes, yeah.
Yep, wide open for him. Speaking of people that might have competition but might not in the future, I have 22. I have T. Higgins, which we were pretty much right on with that. You had him at 21. I think there's super unknowns with T. Higgins, but also into last year he showed that he's amazing. He's still got it in him. He's good. I like that Joe Burrow's his quarterback, but might not be for long. So the uncertainty of who's going to be throwing him the ball is scary, but also if he really is that good of a receiver, they tend to make it work wherever they are. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I basically feel exactly as you do, and we had him ranked. You had him 22, I had him 21. So yeah, situation obviously. I mean, if he ends up in Buffalo next year or something like that, that'd be pretty sweet. If he ends up in the Giants with a rookie quarterback or something, it might be a little less exciting, but the opportunity is going to be there. And I've been trying to acquire him in my leagues for sure for the last like probably 2 seasons, honestly, just like every couple of weeks I just check in.
Yeah.
Gets hurt, Burrow gets hurt. I'm like, how you feeling about him now? And
yeah. Do you think the injury thing's going to stay with him forever? Is he injury prone, or is it, I mean, it's so hard to tell.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, good for sure. I mean, I think they said on Giants Hard Knocks, they said the greatest teller of the future is the past. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's hard for him to stay on the field. It's so I know a lot of owners are frustrated with like starting him and having him go out in the first quarter, which I've actually never really owned T. Higgins. I don't think I kind of have avoided him just because of the inconsistency, but I mean, there's definitely promise there. So he has the capability of being pretty good. My 21 is Zay Flowers. You had him at 20, so really close there as well. I love the talent. I like what he did last year. I love the outlook going in the future. I mean, he was shining even with like an Odell Beckham on the team that I kind of worried would be like a whole like Lamar and Odell thing. Like they got to get him the ball, but he still played really well. He's just super quick, runs good routes. He's on an offense that likes to run a lot and has a good target in Mark Andrews, so that kind of takes away. But I mean, he's going to be the number 2, number 1 option on any given week, and he can bust a big play. So very exciting. I think the future looks good for Zay Flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Zay Flowers, T. Higgins, not to spoil too much, but like DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman, I see all those guys kind of in that. That's what I do, a lot of tier system stuff. I kind of lean more towards tiers than rankings, because if somebody wanted to take T. Higgins over Zay Flowers, sounds good. I don't necessarily know if I'd argue with them on that. So, yeah, I definitely like Zay Flowers here in this spot.
Totally agree with the tier thing. Yeah, these guys are all the same tier for me that we're going through so far. I'm comfortable with any of them. I think I kind of just ranked them as like, if I had this guy, would I rather have this guy? So just like tiny little steps above for me. But yeah, if someone was going to tell me like, oh, definitely T. Higgins over Zay Flowers, I'd be like, cool. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Totally fine. My next in this tier is Tank Dell. I'm at 20, you're at 24, so we're similar, but you're like a little bit lower on him. I like the youth and the stability with the quarterback and the connection, I think is why I'm a little bit higher. I personally have Zay Flowers on my teams, and it's tough because I don't really know if I would trade him straight up for Tank Dell, because I love Zay, but I just think like how young he is and the consistency he's going to have at quarterback going forward, and just building that chemistry is going to be really good for him.
Yeah, I had him a little bit lower. It's similar with like George Pickens. The only thing with Tank Dell is he's got the sure quarterback situation with CJ Stroud. So I just have him a little bit lower because of the consistency. It's kind of how I am with like rookies and early year guys. I just like his situation, so that's why I'm going to put him higher than George Pickens. If I had to choose between like Pickens, if you flip-flop Tank Dell and George Pickens, who are you taking? George Pickens probably, right? Quarterback situation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I see those two guys. So
sure. Yep. Yeah, he's small too, so there's concern there with his size and injury and stuff. The opposite size of Tank Dell is DK Metcalf, my 19, you're 22. Big guy, seems kind of undervalued right now. Just a physical freak, but it is a really good wide receiver too. I mean, a little bit limited compared to some, but just dominates. I don't know. seems pretty strong right here in the middle of this tier. Yeah.
He seems like one of the more undervalued guys in fantasy football, I think, especially Dynasty. I know he's I think he went late in our startup, and he's been a guy I've tried to acquire, but just hasn't necessarily worked out. But yeah, I would definitely like him here.
Yep. Perfect. Pittman at 18. You're at 17. We're right on there. Pittman's strong. I had him for a little bit. Good routes, good possession receiver. He'll be good for Richardson. I mean, even with Minshew, they were just running that quick like slant, get into his hands, 10 catches a game. I don't know. He looks like a solid receiver that is just going to continue to get volume. Got a deal to get him locked up for a while, so just looks strong here.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like you and I had Pittman and Nico Collins just flip-flopped here, so we're probably gonna feel the same way about those two as we do.
Yep, Nico's up here. So interesting thing about Nico is I ended up trading him. I had him. I made a really good move like last year, I think it was, like kind of before Nico's breakout. Like a lot of people kind of saw it coming a little bit. I had a late first round pick and traded it to the back of the second, and also picked up Nico Collins and Kate Otten before the breakout. So like I kind of solidified some depth on my roster a little bit and picked up that second, ended up taking Laporta with the second pick. So I traded, I traded my first, which I think ended up being Zay Flowers, for Nico, Laporta, and Otten. I felt really good about it. But yeah, I like Nico, big body, kind of a later breakout. Yeah. Solid receiver. It seems like he's improving, but I don't know. I don't know much else to say about him. He seems to be getting better, I should say. Yeah, I concur. I actually traded for him in one of my other leagues. I was actually looking up what that trade was. It was straight up for the 12th pick of this past year's draft. Yeah. So I gave up 112 for Nico Collins straight up. I like it. It was around the trade deadline, so I was making a push for a championship. I won. So nice. Worth that's it. That's a good deal. A late first. Yeah.
It is an IDP league, so but yeah, it looks like that pick went for Leatu Latu, the defensive end that ended up going to the Colts. So
interesting.
Yeah, our IDP league scores pretty high points, so I don't know. Hopefully, it works out for him too. But I'm pretty happy with it. All of those like offensive guys, like the Xavier Worthies and stuff, they were gone by 112. So I'm really happy with Nico at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just the known commodity, and he got a contract too, so stability's there.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've been trying to shift towards a little bit, is going for guys that can play in the NFL. And that's where my rankings, it reflects on guys take a hit because of the consistency or youth sometimes. Yep. So.
Yeah. I mean, he's done it 1 year, so let's see it more, but it looked good last year, and they paid him like they think it's there to stay. So
exactly.
So then the last guy of my tier 4 is Devonta Smith. So right now I have him at 16. You're at 12. You're an Eagles fan. I'm going to say that doesn't have anything to do with it, though. Like he's a really good wide receiver. If
I'll say that it does have something to do with it.
Does okay.
Yeah,
because you watch him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's solid. I mean, you can. I'll let you speak on him a little bit. You have him a little bit higher than me, so tell me what you like about him.
Yeah, I mean, he just gets it done with his route running, and he's smooth with it. So, call him the Slim Reaper, and for a small guy too, he's pretty good with contested catches too. He's shown that over his career, and for a small guy too, he doesn't take a lot of hits, which is crazy. Like I don't know, like that's something. Obviously, Tank Dell got hurt last year, but that was kind of a wicked and weird play. That wasn't like a big hit type of play. So, but yeah, I have Devonta Smith. He's in my tier 2. I have him ranked at 12, but again, some of the guys that I have around him, I mean, him and Jalen Waddle, I have ranked similarly. Spoiler alert, but I'm a big fan of Devonta Smith. I really think he's a 1B to. Actually, what did I hear? I heard it was our number 1, and then is AJ Brown, and our 1A is Devonta Smith, and I definitely agree with that. It'd be pretty interesting to see him on another team as like a true wide receiver 1. Curious to see.
Yeah, I mean, he's got drafted and has proven the talent since day 1. He's looked good. There's nothing to be concerned about. I don't think. I think there's a lot of people who are like crunching the stats like hardcore and saying like Devonta Smith outperformed AJ Brown through like this number of weeks and like looks good. And I guess it just depends on how the offense runs. I think they're both very capable of doing good things. So
I drafted him in our Superflex startup. I drafted him and George Pickens, and I was kind of like hoping for similar results out of those two. And I mean, in fantasy football, Devonta Smith is for a little bit there been my wide receiver 1, and it's worked out. So.
Yeah, he's good stuff. So yeah, that breaks it into my tier 3. So I just look at these guys just kind of a tick more consistent, tick better, and guys I would feel a little bit more comfortable having as a wide receiver 1, maybe a potential wide receiver 1. my first guy on this list is Brandon Ayuk. I have him at 15. You have him at 8, which we'll get into a bit later. I think Ayuk is really good. There was the weird stint where like he got in the doghouse and wasn't playing much, but the talent is there. People could see it. Even when all that was happening, people could see him getting open, running great routes, looking like a great wide receiver. The 49ers offense is starting to utilize him a lot. The uncertainty with, is he going to stay in the 49ers offense or is Debo going to stay there? It seems like one of them might be gone. They might both stay for a year. I don't know. It's hard to say what's going to happen, but if he's on the 49ers offense and they still get him the ball, he's going to be amazing. Probably a little bit better than this, but a little bit of uncertainty there. So I bumped him to 15.
Yeah. I've had him. I drafted him in one of my rookie drafts. So that's probably partial, is because I've had him. And like you were saying, there was that year or so that he was like, it was kind of shaky or whatever. He was in a little bit of trouble with the coaching staff as far as like doghouse or whatever the term is. But I think he's come out of it better, and his route running is really good. And I'm huge on route running. I think get separation. You're looking good. Look at Devontae Adams. You look at a guy like that who started out slow with Green Bay and then worked on his route running, and now, arguably, I mean, Dynasty's sake, he might not be a top 15 receiver, but as far as talent goes in the NFL, he's right up there in his route running. So I'm big on Brandon Ayuk, and now he's shaped up his run blocking since being with San Fran, so that's only going to sculpt him into an overall true wide receiver. I think he could be a true wide receiver, like true X wide receiver one for a team. So
I agree.
I'm kind of interested to see, though. I think if San Fran had to choose, I would think they would go with Brandon Ayuk. Honestly,
I think so too. Yeah,
I think Debo is as talented and as like ridiculously like important he is to that team. I think they can shape the offense a little bit differently without Debo versus without Ayuk. Ayuk is just that guy you can put on the outside and win one-on-one.
Yeah, I would say this year I've especially noticed watching 49ers highlights in games that he breaks open a lot more than I've noticed in the past. Like, there'll be a play, and whether he gets the ball or not, you'll just see Ayuk with nobody within 5 yards of him, and it's crazy. He knows how to get guys off of him and is a great receiver. Yeah,
really good separation.
Yep.
We'll get more. We got numbers to back that up later.
Yep. Perfect. 14, same tier. I have Rome Odunze. You have him at 14 too, so we're locked on here.
Boom.
I've heard from a number of different people, like almost any other draft, he'd be the wide receiver 1, which is crazy because he's the wide receiver 3. But I think watching the tape and seeing him play it, I think he backs it up. I think he's definitely a wide receiver 1 in a draft class. Just crazy talent this year with Harrison and Neighbors. So Odunze is now also paired with Caleb Williams for both of their rookie contracts, which is likely 5 years for each of them. So he'll get a chance to grow and be consistent with one guy. And I think a lot of people maybe compare him to like a Devontae Adams, or he looks like him at times. So yeah, just a great young receiver. I have him the 3rd rookie receiver, obviously. But looks very promising. I'd love to have him on a Dynasty team if I could.
Yeah. If I would have had a choice in a rookie draft, which I do not, between Neighbors and Odunze, I would have thought long and hard about Odunze over Neighbors. Yeah. I really would have, because I just the thing that tips it for me for Odunze is just like his mentality and his mental outside of the game, and the overall, like, I don't know, he just seems like he's got the mentality. Not saying Neighbors doesn't, but like I just like the way he sounds. He sounds really mature, and he just sounds like a guy that's like, he sounds like an old head is what the kids are calling him.
Yep.
Already. So
yeah, I agree.
That's what would have made me do it. I just really, you'll find out through as we go on with more of these podcasts and rankings and talking about players. I really buy into who they are as people, because I think that says a lot. So that's why, spoiler alert, Jordan Addison took a little bit of a plummet.
Yeah, we can get into him a little bit later with the recent news coming out. Going off screen a little bit, my number 13 is Tyreek Hill in this same tier. You had Tyreek at 9, so a little bit higher than me. I love Tyreek Hill, obviously. In our Dynasty League, someone who was a non-competitive team anymore put him up on the trade block and got a haul for him, and everybody wanted him. And I was like, I just don't have the assets to go after him. But man, he changed that team. When he got on that person's team, it was just completely different because he was scoring so many points and is such a difference maker. Like, obviously, when it comes to like a one season thing, Tyreek Hill is top 5, top 3. He's amazing. But Dynasty with the age thing and the Tua and the offense, like, I just have him down a little bit. Like, I love Tyreek Hill, but I don't think I would personally overpay for him at this point, unless I was really like on the cusp and ready to pay big for him. I just think he's really expensive.
Yeah.
But he's so talented and such a difference maker. I might be a little low on him. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say I have him at 9 for all the reasons you said you have him at 13. I just don't care as much about those because of how much of a difference maker he is. When he's at his best, he's Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson. Like, he's top 3, top 4 in the league of just like overall fantasy football difference makers. And even if you got that for a 2 or 3 year window, which now that I'm talking about it, I've been in talks with a guy about Tyreek Hill, and he's asking for quite a bit, and I just like, I just can't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard, but maybe I should.
Yep. Yeah, he's a difference maker for sure. I think I probably to a fault over prioritize the age and longevity. Most people look at a 2 to 3 year window. I'm kind of in like a 4 to 5, and I kind of just, with some of these guys, I think they might hit a cliff at some point. Like, it might just go away and they're not worth anything, and I don't really want to be holding that bag. I think that's where I come from. Like, I don't know, things can happen to old guys that you don't keep the same faith in as young guys if they get a bad injury or something like that. So I do feel like I might be a little low on him, but that's kind of why I bring old guys down. And then my next guy, which I think is a little bit surprising, I put him over Tyreek Hill. I have Drake London at 12. I am doing this because I'm kind of going all in on Drake London. I am in the camp that believes in him as a talent and the situation now. The Falcons just looked weird for a while. The quarterbacks they've had with their inaccuracy problems, Desmond Ridder was just absolutely atrocious. Like, any statistic you look at last year for Desmond Ridder throwing to Kyle Pitts or Drake London is just so bad. And we saw some clips from like off-season stuff where Kirk Cousins was throwing to Drake London. He's like, I can't believe it. He's 6'5". Like, I'll just keep throwing it to him. Like, you can't stop him. Yeah. Like, I could just see that working out. Like, Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. Obviously showed he can feed a number one. I think Drake London has just been growing and has the frame and the physicality and the skill to be an amazing wide receiver. And I think he could really break out with a good quarterback. So I kind of want to be in early on him. He's a guy I certainly could be wrong about, but I really don't think I am. Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong on him, I guess, in a way, because, I mean, it sounds hypocritical because I do have him. I have him ranked 15th, but I was just looking at my list and I think of, like, I have Rome Odunze, who I would take over Drake London. I would take Jalen Waddle over Drake London, and Devontae Smith over Drake London. See, now I feel kind of hypocritical because maybe this is why I do the tier system, though, because I have Jalen Waddle, I have Drake London, I have all these guys in the same tier for me, so you could argue against, but I just kind of, when I was putting it together, I found myself wanting to take. I have Jalen Waddle, so I've had good experiences with him. But if we get to the end of the year and Drake London's top 10, I'm not going to be surprised. As far as like the situation goes.
He's the one. His quarterback is older, but now with Penix, like, he's got a possible quarterback for the future who can learn to become good. Like, I think that, like, if it was just Kirk Cousins and not Michael Penix, I'd feel a little shakier on it. But now that Penix is there, it makes you feel good. Like, I think with Waddle, it feels great that he has Tua, who should be there for a while. I think that's a big part of it too, is like the quarterback security and longevity looking into the future. So, I see all the different guys in the tier being similar to London.
Do you know what Drake London's contract is? He's coming up on, this is his 3rd season, correct? He wasn't a rookie last year because Bijan.
This is might be his 4th season. third or fourth, because it was London, then Pitts, then Bijan, right?
Yeah,
they were all number ones. Yeah,
or was Pitts?
This will be his third season. Yeah,
third season. Okay, because I was just thinking contracts too. Like, when's that coming up too? Like, the Falcons will have to be in a position. I could see Drake London getting some sort of like Michael Pittman type contract, and then outperforming it, because
Drake London's played 2 seasons. I'm confused now.
So this is his third season.
This will be his third, yeah. But then what does that make Pitts? Oh, Pitts was before London. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pitts, then London, then Bijan. Yep. Okay.
So
my bad.
No, you're good. Yeah. So no.
So yeah, then to your guy, number 11, I have Waddle. You have him at 13. So you said you would rather have him in London. But yeah, you're still like a couple spots lower than me on Waddle, I suppose. I had Waddle for a while as well. Just another one of those guys that's a great receiver, has explosive speed, and can be a gadget guy, can be a consistent guy, can just go out and burn somebody. He's so fast, but he runs those intermediate routes in the middle of the field so well, which the Dolphins love to throw. Obviously feels kind of like San Francisco, where guys are just schemed wide open in the middle of the field, and he's playing the role perfectly. Seems to have fit into that role. Could take a bump up whenever Tyreek Hill is done. Might not be soon, but whenever Tyreek Hill is done, could take a bump up as well. So I like the youth of Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. The only reason I've got Waddle a little bit lower, I've got him at 13, is because as a Waddle owner, it's been kind of stressful. It seems like the dude goes limping off the field once or twice every single game, and he always comes back out. But it's still kind of like, But as far as like talent and stuff goes, it's fine. I like where he's at and everything that you said you like about him. But it's just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was
Sunday watches sometimes.
So I had him and felt the exact same way about him. And also, so we're in a salary cap league that I am the commissioner of, and in that league, I had contracts coming up, and Waddle was one of them. I was going to have to pay him a lot of money, and through the first like 3 or 4 weeks of the season, I was really trying to get Puka, which at that point was a little bit early, a little bit of a risk, but obviously a great player. I was able to trade Waddle for Puka in a second, and I felt really good about it. And now it's obviously looks even better, but
yeah,
that was a nice trade, I think.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I would say so.
So 10, I have Olave. You're a bit lower on Olave at 16. We'll get a little bit more into this later and why, but Olave is just one of those guys who came out and has looked amazing. I believe in him. I believe there's a breakout coming, is why I have him so high. And again, I want to get in on the breakout early. I already have him in my league, so I like Olave. I think better things are to come for him.
Yeah. I have him a little bit lower. Sorry, I got a cat back.
Yeah, you're fine.
I have him a little bit lower just because of the inconsistency of the quarterback play in New Orleans, and I'm just kind of just a little bit lower on him, I guess. Like when I was just putting together my rankings, it was like, who would I take before him? And that's just kind of where he ended up. He was the start of tier 3 for me, which I really probably should put that tier 2 because I think like talent-wise and all that kind of stuff is there for him.
Sure.
But he's just kind of lower in tier 2 for me, but maybe convince me otherwise or something.
Yeah, we'll see. See later if I can do that. That breaks the tier for me. So that was the end of my tier 3. He was the highest I had there. Now moving into my tier 2, my number 9 receiver, we just talked about him, was Puka Nacua. I've got him at 9, you got him at 11. We're very similar. I see a lot of Dynasty startup drafts where he's going first round, early second round, which is crazy to me considering like what I traded him for and even what he was drafted for last year. A lot of leagues undrafted, a lot of leagues 4th round pick.
I think he was a 4th round in one of my really like super deep leagues. Like we have 53-man rosters, IDP and all that. And he went like 4th round in that league.
Yeah, it was as soon as Kupp got hurt, everybody should have paid a little bit more attention to him and gone in. I know a lot of people did. It was a big waiver wire pickup, but I mean, at that point, I should have overpaid for him, and some people should have like been a little bit more in on him. He looked good when he played, and obviously once he was getting 17 targets in a game, then it was kind of over from there. Couldn't really buy him for most anything. Dynasty hero.
Yeah. One of my favorite nicknames I heard for him was Puka in the Cooper Cup.
I like it.
Yeah. But that's kind of, I mean, for me with him is, I mean, I talk about consistency, so it's kind of hypocritical to have him this high, but Sean McVay is kind of the ticket there for me is like, I feel like he's going to be in a position to be great with Sean McVay's creative mind.
Yep.
Calling plays once, you know, I really like Stafford. But yeah, even once Stafford's moved on, they're going to find ways to get him going.
I think so too. I'm a little bit worried about Stafford being gone, but once Stafford's gone, likely Kupp will be gone. They're going to hyper target him. He's good, sure. And they like him. And I guess the worst case scenario is they all leave. McVay goes too. Then we're kind of in a weird spot, but I don't know. I like him. He's a great wide receiver and young. So
yeah. Again, hilarious guy. I've heard him in a couple of interviews.
Yeah.
I really like his personality.
Yeah, and he looks really good now. He's been working out with Cooper Kupp all off season and like is learning the ropes, I'd say. And his body just looks in so much better shape, which he was already in good shape, but he looks even in better shape now. So expect good things from him this year. My 8 is AJ Brown. You got him at 6, so just a touch higher than me, but we're pretty close. The guy in our league who got Tyreek Hill also has AJ Brown, and that just hurts because when you play against him, I mean, one of them's going to go off and maybe both of them will go off, and it's just sad. Obviously super talented, big, tough runner, just gets numbers, demands the ball, which is a lot of times a good thing for a wide receiver. He just he needs it. I don't know. Do you got anything to say about AJ Brown at 8?
I mean, not really. I have him at 6. I think he's just a true alpha dog. I think he's just the guy that's last year he had that 7-game stretch, 125 yards or more in a row, and he's just going to be that guy. Yep. So it's kind of hard to argue. The run after catch is pretty nasty too. That guy, load to get down. Allegedly, he's faster this year. He says allegedly.
We'll see. Did he cut weight, or he's just faster?
He's just been working out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully they work out in the off season. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think at this point it's safe to say he's better than Treylon Burks. So
yeah, I hope Treylon finds a new home and gets a little restart. I added him really, really late in our startup. Just hopes that he goes somewhere. Send him to Pittsburgh and
give him a chance somewhere else. We'll see. Maybe his asthma will go away. Never know. All right, my 7 is Malik Neighbors, and I'm just a big believer in him. You have him at 10. We're pretty close. I think he can absolutely explode. The quarterback situation's really weird. But yeah, we've both been watching Hard Knocks, and the Giants have made a pretty big point that they're trying to put things around Daniel Jones, and I think they're going to feed Neighbors like crazy, and I think he's just super talented. I think his talent is very close, if not on par, with Marvin Harrison. I think he's just a super amazing receiver, and given the right opportunities, he's going to explode and break out right away. I don't think there's going to be a lot of time before he's amazing.
Yeah. My concern is just the Giants. I just hate that he went to the Giants.
Yeah.
And it's not even a Daniel Jones thing. It's just the Giants. Not even because I hate the Giants because I'm an Eagles fan, but just it just seems one of them dysfunctional organizations that just struggles. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the Hard Knocks has been kind of interesting, so we'll see. But I mean, top 10 still.
I guess I didn't think of knocking him down because of the Giants, but you probably have a lot of different opinions on Giants.
Well, and I tried to take my fandom out of it because that doesn't win you championships. So I'll try not to. I traded for Saquon Barkley a couple of years ago when he was a Giant, so it's not necessarily that, but I don't know. Giants just seem to have been struggling since that last.
That's true. Yeah, there are some organizations that seem just not be able to get it, but I feel like there's so much turnover though with organizations coaches, crazy. GMs, everybody gets turned over every couple of years if you're not winning. So maybe it could turn around. Maybe a DeMeco Ryans goes into the Texans and
100%
everything turns around. So I mean, I don't love the Giants organization, but I'm trying not to hold it against them too much. But I get it.
Also it's out. I don't know if it's just been like if it's been real or if it's just been like media. Like I'll be curious to see what Hard Knocks looks like when they draft him.
Yeah.
But it seemed like he wasn't thrilled to go to the Giants either, like based on his reactions and stuff like that. But so I don't know. If I'm drafting a guy in Dynasty and I'm spending a high draft pick on him, I want him to be all in. That's kind of my struggle.
Yeah, I get it for sure. My number 6 is Garrett Wilson, another great young receiver. Has kind of broken records for target share, and I mean the guy gets open, is shifty, just a really solid wide receiver. I mean he does everything really well, runs very great crisp routes. I was so excited to see him last year with Rodgers, just because Rodgers loves to throw those anticipation routes to receivers he knows where they're going to be, and that was going to be Garrett Wilson. So hopefully Rodgers can stay healthy and looks decently good this year, and we can see what Wilson has. I have him in my Dynasty, and I kind of just want to see it. We're all waiting to see it. He's still putting up some numbers, but it's painful. It's really hard to watch. So I'm excited to hopefully see him with a decent quarterback.
Yeah. I don't really have much to add to it. I think he switched to jersey number 5 this year. So
did he? I didn't know that. Cool.
Yep. Try out. He made room. I think he made room so they could trade for Devontae Adams, maybe.
Yeah, that's Rodgers stoking the media fire. Yeah, that's funny. Last guy of my tier 2 before my tier break is Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is where our like rankings and tier differences come into play bigger. We've had differences in rankings before, which is kind of a thing, but now we have a difference in tiers. I have him in my tier 2. You have him in your tier 1. So there's a little bit of a break there. I have him in my league. I feel really strongly about him. There's just something there, I don't know, that's just holding me back a little bit from putting him in like the absolute tier 1. Like, this is my stud Dynasty cornerstone. This is my number 1 that I can put other pieces around and make look good. I still feel like if you have Amon-Ra, you need like someone else too. He's just so solid. He's like, of these top guys, I think he's just the most like solid, stable guy. Like he's gonna get his receptions, and it might break for more, but he's always gonna get his receptions. He's just so involved in that offense. He's so stable. I love having him, but I just wanted to keep him in my tier 2 instead of my tier 1, which is like perfect Dynasty cornerstone wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, for all of the reasons. I mean, basically everything you just said is kind of why I have him in my tier 1. Just the solid 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns last year. He is just built like one of those guys. He's going to get catches. He's a focal part of the offense, so they're going to feed him the ball. I mean, basically, kind of everything you said is why I have him in my tier 1. Is
sure.
It's just different. It's just going to look different than a CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. It's just going to look different. I see him more as like the AJ Brown type of thing.
Yep.
Of, a little bit, not quite as like, angry. Well, different kind, but you know what I mean? Like he's not as swole, but still. And I mean, I'll be honest too. I've been telling you, I buy into these guys' personalities. I like to see who they are. I've been watching Netflix's Receiver. Yeah. He seems like a guy that's going to play for 10 more years if he stays healthy, and the guy doesn't seem like a guy that's gonna ever quit or settle for anything less.
That's a really great point. He has the perfect mentality for a guy you want on your team. So I do get that. Yeah,
that really sent it over. I had him in tier 2. I watched receiver and I was like, this guy works harder than almost. I mean, I don't know, but I mean he's working as hard as anybody. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know how hard other people work, but they'd have to work pretty hard to outwork that guy. So
yeah. Agreed. That breaks to my tier 1. So I separated it out, and like I said, my tier 1 I think is just like the cream of the crop, best of the best. Like these are the guys that if you have on your team, you're not trading away. Maybe that's the differentiator too. I think if I had Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't know what offer I would accept. It'd be really hard. I've been thinking of trying to package like a Garrett Wilson and some other things to try to get Harrison from a guy in our league, and I don't think he would do it. I think he's just excited to have Harrison, and that's just that.
So,
yeah. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", and like super fast, crisp route running. Like and he's got Kyler Murray too. Like Kyler Murray is proven he can throw a good ball to a number one receiver, and it's just going to look really good right away, and the price is only going to go up. So I just see him as like top notch. I think you had him tier 2, so maybe it's just the unprovenness yet.
Yeah, the tier. I mean, honestly, I could have left him at tier 1. I probably will after we're done here. Like the low end tier 1, high end tier 2. I just have him there. It's kind of the knock. He hasn't played down in the league, but I feel at this point that's not even really. I mean, he's just so talented. And he's that guy. I mean,
yeah, maybe knock him down from the mentality thing, because there's been all the reports about his dad telling him he needs to beg for the ball and he doesn't want to do it. And in not the Netflix show, but it's the Giants Hard Knocks. I think they were surprised that he wasn't more of a dog when they interviewed him. Like, they're just saying the way he plays in the field, they would expect him to have been more of like a personality and was very like even keel. Which they were even talking on that. They were like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. It could be either one. I don't know. But yeah, different personality for sure.
Right. Yeah. And great talent. I mean, shoot, he could. If somebody wanted to fight me and take him over Amon-Ra, I would. Yeah. I'd take him. Maybe. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's close.
But yeah, either way, I'm right there.
Yep. My number 3 is Jamar Chase. You had him at 2. This one I'm like, it's really doesn't matter to me. 2 and 3. Yeah. Like all these guys. Even with Justin Jefferson, like with the new quarterback situation, like it's so hard to argue any of these top 3 who you should have or the other. Like,
I agree.
I'm really not going to argue about who should be number 1, 2, or 3. Like they're all amazing. Obviously, I brought up in the quarterback episode the concern with Joe Burrow's wrist, but Jamar Chase is just special. So I think he's going to make it work. He looked good with Jake Browning, so he's just going to make it work with whoever. And if he has Joe Burrow, all the better to him. If he has a healthy Joe Burrow, he's probably like a 2 or a 1 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, I mean, I have Jamar Chase 2, CeeDee Lamb 3. I agree. Flip-flop them, it doesn't matter. Maybe the knock on CeeDee Lamb might be the quarterback question beyond Dak Prescott, just because watching receiver on Netflix like Devontae Adams is pretty terrible when you don't have a good quarterback. At least with Joe Burrow, we know Joe Burrow's there.
Yep.
And it's just kind of up to his wrist to see how long he stays there.
That's true.
Maybe that's just the flip that I have, but CeeDee Lamb was by far my favorite receiver in that draft that year. Mm-hmm. I was really, really mad when he went to Dallas. Obviously, I could see it happening, and I was like, killer. But
Jerry Jeudy going ahead of him.
Yeah,
that's hard to watch.
That's hard to watch. But yeah, I love CeeDee Lamb. Love Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Yep. I had CeeDee Lamb on the screen because we're already talking about him, and then I'll put number 1 is Justin Jefferson. He's just, I mean, he's on pace to break all the records. He's just an amazing receiver, really good injury history. In the receiver show, they showed that like it was kind of the first time he had an injury that kept him out of games. He's amazing. I don't know. I don't see him slowing down. He's just so talented.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. I just he's got the gritty too. It's pretty cool.
That is sweet. Yeah. hard to argue that it's fun to watch him gritty into the end zone for a touchdown. Right. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, that's everything we had for the top 24 wide receivers. We're going to look into a couple of guys that we disagreed on a little bit. So we're kind of keeping track of which guys we have higher or lower. And there's a couple of guys that we have quite a big difference. So we're going to go into our next segment, which is called Try to Sway Me or Sway Me. All right, time for Sway Me. Talking about a couple guys that we had ranked differently. The first guy that I had is Chris Olave, which I'm a little bit higher on than Marcus. Currently, he's ranked for me at number 10. Marcus has him at 16, bring our consensus to 13. So I have him, at 10 as a very solidified wide receiver 1. I understand people being lower on him because he really hasn't done it yet. I look at it and I argue that he's shown it. He's looked all the parts of a wide receiver one. He's a very obvious first target in an offense, and he's excelled even past that. He looks like a top tier receiver in the league. I think the one huge thing that I'm excited about Olave for this year that's really swaying me is that they're finally changing their offense. They've just had such a stale offense for so long, and it's not surprising anyone. It's not impressing anyone. It's just very like, go out there and fling it around. Everyone stands still before the play.
Yeah.
And I don't have the exact numbers, but I know they ran like around 300 plays of motion last year, which is like hardly any. For reference, San Francisco ran, I think it was like 750 plays of motion offense. So they're running less than half of the motion offense that like a top caliber offense is running. And Olave alone, like when people do go in motion, it's not Olave. He's standing still. So I think their new offensive coordinator's coming in. It's Clint Kubiak, I believe. I think it's Clint Kubiak. Let me double check that.
Back check it.
But he's been... Yeah, it's Clint Kubiak. He's been with Denver, San Francisco. He's been all over the place, but he understands motion offense. He wants to implement motion offense. Like that's what he's there to do. They're going to have way more motion offense this year. They're going to move Olave around. They're going to confuse the defense. He already releases off the line of scrimmage so well. If he's coming in motion, doing that thing, the corn dog play, whatever, like he's just going to get so open, and his talent is there. He's young enough. Derek Carr concerns me a little bit that he sucks so bad and they need somebody else, but Carr is a capable quarterback of getting him the ball for the next couple of years, and I think maybe they'll figure it out, but I think there's for sure a breakout coming with Olave with the offensive change. If he can stay healthy, all of his stats are going to be better this year, every single one of them. I think he's going to the moon.
Yeah. Gone are the days of Alvin Kamara getting every bit of action. I think he's valuable, but I like that. That's
the other part of it too, is they're not going to be able to dump it off to Kamara all the time.
12 times a game.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they might do it half that, but there's no way they're going to keep that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the design is going to be to get the ball out of Carr's hand quick with motion, and that's the receiving end of that's going to be Olave. It's not going to be dump offs to Kamara. So he's going to get more receptions. They're going to think of better ways for him to get open down the field, which he's very capable of doing. Yeah, I think he's breaking out. I don't know where he finished last year, but I think this year he's going to finish the wide receiver one for sure.
Calling it now.
I am, yeah.
Dang.
I believe it. There's a lot of Olave truthers out there before any of these changes, and I think now is the time. There's a couple guys I'm calling my shots on. It's Drake London, it's Chris Olave. I like him this year.
Yeah. If I would have drafted Chris Olave in any of my rookie drafts that year, I would still be a Chris Olave owner, and I would still be holding out.
Sure. Yep.
Unless if I got some wicked deal. But yeah, I get it.
You get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I drafted him right away too. Yeah. And I've just been holding.
Yep. The hope is what I haven't fully bought into, and that's kind of where I have him at 16. But I like what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So you have let me see. You have London ahead of him. Just for curiosity's sake, I'm looking at Olave. Yeah, you have London, Odunze, Waddle, Devontae Smith above him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are probably the guys I would argue about, and then Spookanaku after that, and I wouldn't argue anything about that. But
yep.
Yeah,
that was it's just where he ended up. It was kind of interesting as I was laying it out. I was like, okay. And honestly, you might be able to convince me to flip London Olave, but I put London higher because I like Kirk Cousins better than Derek Carr. Like that. That's where the immediate impact comes into play for me, and that's why
I totally get that. Better quarterback, better situation for sure, but I think this year's situation is going to make Olave look a lot better, honestly. Yeah. And yeah, I think Olave is a little bit better of a receiver than London, but
sure.
We're just pulling hairs. Yeah, your guy is Brandon Ayuk, which we had a huge difference on, probably the biggest difference. You have him in your tier 2 as your number 8 receiver. I have him in my tier 3 as my 15 receiver. So that's 7 points apart. that kind of awkwardly brings our consensus to like 11.5 to fit in between us. But yeah, I mean, you're 7 spots higher and have him at 8, which I think is a huge difference.
Yeah, let me sort your list. I want to see. You're changing it on my screen too, which is pretty nice.
Oh, cool. You want to
change
sort
your
mine?
list? I want to see. Yeah, flip yours ascending. So I want to see where you have Ayuk. So you have Odunze, Hill, London, Waddle. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like where I have him.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah. Looking at what you have.
You like him above all those guys?
Yeah, I do. Wow. Yeah, he just turned 26, so he's still on the younger side, but he's getting into that like peak career season. Admittedly, I've had Brandon Ayuk. I might have said that earlier, but I have had him since his rookie season. In the last 2 seasons has been really enjoyable.
It's all good. It's validating.
Yeah, for sure, and it's been nice to hang it out. But yeah, I mean, just watching him in the playoffs and just watching, there's a couple of things that like. One of the biggest tells for me for him was his third down conversion percentage. This year he's at 81.5%, which was, I think the next closest was DK Metcalf at 80%. And then after that, it was like T. Higgins, and he only had 42 receptions. So Ayuk had 75 catches. 61 of those went for first downs, which tells me they're looking at him in important situations, and they really trust in the guy. I think he's a true X receiver. Ironically enough, too, I had some stats. You can pull up the tweet. Matt Harmon on Twitter posted the reception perception breakdown profile of Brandon Ayuk. 78.7% success rate versus man, 85.4% success rate versus zone, 83.6% success rate versus press. That's the 96th percentile for man, 91st percentile for zone, and 97th percentile for press coverage. And then if you pull up the picture of his route success rate, the guy wins on every single route. And then it doesn't look like he runs too many comebacks or too many flats or too many go balls, but everything else he runs, I guess, not saying he can't run those routes, but it tells me that he runs routes. He's not just gadget guy or quick, he's running the more technical routes, and he's getting open, and he's getting open on big downs. So, I'm a huge Ayuk fan. I think he's going to stay in San Francisco because I believe that he's more. I mean, he's the true X. You're not lining Deebo up. Nothing against Deebo. He's a great player.
Yeah.
I think Deebo is more closely related to McCaffrey than he is Ayuk. He's a wide receiver, but I think he falls into more of that running back wide receiver hybrid, which I don't know if many people are arguing that. And then Ayuk is a guy you line up outside. And I mean, there's talk if Ayuk gets traded to Pittsburgh or something like that. I think George Pickens today just posted on his Instagram story of a picture of Brandon Ayuk, or Brandon Ayuk goes to Washington, like that immediately like bumps Jahan Dotson down. That he's the starting receiver, and they have Terry McLaurin, but like Brandon Ayuk's different. Yeah. And that's why I've got him at 8. I honestly, last year I probably wouldn't have had him at 8. I probably would have had him around 15. But after this year and just watching him throughout the playoffs and just watching like the biggest moments they go to him, I think there's a lot to say about that. So
I think I had him probably like around 20 last year and have moved him up a bit since then. I just didn't know if I was ready to move him up that far. I think you're right. Ayuk will stay. Deebo might leave. I do worry that might impact him a little bit too. Anyway, because they can shift more coverage to Ayuk if they don't have Deebo Samuel to worry about. Yeah. But obviously McCaffrey is a huge weapon and takes a lot of attention too. Yeah. So Shanahan's going to scheme him open. They know what they have in him, and they're going to want to lock him up. I would be surprised if Ayuk left, but there's just a little bit of weird uncertainty with like how it's going to play out. But he is very talented. I agree that he should maybe be a little bit higher. I could probably put him ahead of Odunze. I don't know if I could move him above London, Olave. Maybe I could do Waddle, but I have Waddle even higher, so I don't know. I definitely see the case for him. I think solid receiver, and I think the future looks bright for him. So I get it. Cool. I think that's probably all we had for you guys today. Thanks so much for joining in. It's been Ben and Marcus Infotainment Sports. stay tuned. Follow us on all of our platforms. It'll play in the outro video. But thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.